Mahalo for joining me today. I was introduced, my name is Kalaiku Wong. I'm from Waianae, Oahu. I grew up in the Hawaiian immersion school system. So when I was started preschool, we were the second, or my class was the second class at the Punana in Waianae. Then we moved to Nanakuli that went up to sixth grade at the time, and I think still does. And then we bused to Palolo every day because there was an immersion school in Palolo, Te Kulakaya Punio Anuenue, that went up to 12th grade. And I share that because my background is a little bit different than most. My parents both spoke Hawaiian, and my grandparents on my mother's side spoke Hawaiian. So I grew up very much in that type of a household, and then went to school with that type of in that community. And so I share that because since that upbringing was different, it affects how I see the world and how I see education. So I got into education during my bachelor years at UH Manoa, and ended up in preschool. I wasn't training to be in preschool, but my kumuhula, while I was getting my BA, she worked at a preschool, and they needed help. So I went over as a sub, fell in love with the preschool age, and I've been teaching in preschool for the last 15 years now. Currently, I work with Kamehameha Schools as their Hawaiian culture-based education coordinator for the preschool classrooms. So I'm excited today to share with you folks 10 educational websites for Native Hawaiian history and culture. There's a lot going on in our community right now, and there's especially since COVID, there's a lot on the internet. There's a lot of free things. So I just wanted to highlight some of those things for us today. But before I get into that, I want to introduce a Padlet. Oops, no, that's not what I want. So that we can virtually introduce ourselves to each other. So if you have a phone, you can click on that QR code. But if not, I also have the link that I will put in the chat if I can move this box. Okay. Okay, so there it is in the chat. So if you click on this link, or if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to a Padlet. And Padlet is a free tool. I think there are paid options, but you can use it for free as well. And it's fairly easy, fairly simple to use. We've been using it since COVID in our classrooms, especially to share with Ohana and to get family involvement in the preschool, since they're not allowed in the classrooms, or hadn't been allowed in the classrooms. So we'll use this Padlet throughout the time to introduce the websites to everyone. But before we get to the websites, if you could take a couple minutes to introduce yourself. So the first column is entitled Ho'olona, or introduction. And just asking if you folks could share your name, where you're from originally, the type of educator you are, and then the school or organization that you represent or you work at. And then if you're comfortable, you don't need to turn on your camera through the whole session, but if you're comfortable putting a picture in here so I can see your face, I'd appreciate that. And so to post in here, you're just going to click on this this plus sign on the bottom. So I put my introduction there. You click on this plus sign, and a box will pop up, either in the middle of your screen or on the side, like it did for me. So either in this subject box or in the box below, you can type in there your name and those things that I asked for. And then if you want to, if you're comfortable adding a picture, you click on this first button, you can upload a file. So if you already have one on your computer, you can upload one like I did. Or if you click on this camera, it'll use your camera to take a photo. And I don't know if it'll do that while you're on Zoom. But we have time to play around if you want to try that out. And then if anybody can't get in, please let me know either by unmuting or in the chat. Ay, aloha e uilani, Miss Sharon. Aloha e Molly. Oh, at our preschool in Anahola. Aloha, nice to see you here. I just got the approval to go visit the Outer Island, our Outer Island preschool. So I look forward to seeing you soon before summer. And Uilani and Sharon, I haven't heard of your preschool, but I'm gonna Google that right after we're done here. Aloha Rochelle, Chong, mahalo for joining us. Okay, so throughout the presentation, I'm going to be toggling between my slides and this Padlet, and then actually opening up the websites. And so I picked the top 10 websites that I use the most and that I recommend the most to Kumu that I work with, as well as Kumu outside that I get the opportunity to meet. So I'll be toggling between different screens. So if at any point it gets too much, movement, or you get lost or something, if you stay on this Padlet, you'll have access to all the sites that we're going to take a look at. But otherwise, if you still get lost, and feel free to unmute or to add it to the chat. Looks like there's a small group of us, about nine or 10 of us in here. So feel free to unmute at any time to stop me. What I'd also like to do, how I'd like to run the presentation is, if we were in person, then you could talk to your neighbor. And Uilani and Sharon, looks like you guys are together, so you can discuss. But one of the best things about going to conferences like this is that you get to learn from other people who you might be sitting next to. And since we're virtual, we can't necessarily do that. So as I introduce websites and show, different features that the website has, because you're educators, you're probably already going to start thinking of how you can use this in your classroom, what lesson you might implement something with, and so on. So after I introduce initially the website, and you go on there, you click around maybe a little bit, I'd like you to add your first thought about how you could implement this either in your classroom or to your planning or for your own edification. So that at the end, we kind of have a collection of ways that we might, in our different roles or different schools, we might be using this. And hopefully that inspires another participant here to maybe use a website in a different way than they might have already used it. Okay, mahalo. And I'll give us time to do that as we go along. Okay, so our first set of websites are websites that you might use for as a teacher resource. So either for planning or for your own edification, for your own knowledge, for your own understanding. All of these websites have short, kind of bite-sized informational pieces that are either ready to go in the classroom or were created for you to plan with or plan around, or there are easy kind of consumable reads for you as a teacher to gain background knowledge or a deeper understanding of what you might already be teaching, or about a lesson that you're wanting to teach. So maybe that's more information than your students need, but good enough information for you to have a background on. So the first site we're gonna take a look at is the Ki Papa app by Awaiaulu. And Awaiaulu is, their mission is dedicated to developing resources and resource people that can bridge Hawaiian knowledge from the past to the present and the future. Historical resources that they've collected, they make accessible so as to build the knowledge base of both Hawaiian and English-speaking audiences, and young scholars are trained to understand and interpret those resources for modern audiences today and tomorrow. So they really do a lot of work in research. We have a lot of resources written in Hawaiian, and unless you're a native speaker or you're a fluent speaker or you can read Hawaiian, there's a whole bunch of knowledge that you would otherwise be lost to. So what they are doing, they've been doing for the last about 15 years, is that they're translating these articles and books and things that are written in Hawaiian into English so that it's more widely accessible. What they're also doing is training young people. So they have cohorts where they train young people to translate things, to research things. And then what we're going to explore today, this Ki Papa app, they have begun to put together units and lessons of study. So if you're on the Padlet, you can click on that first website, that first link, and it'll take you straight to the Ki Papa app. So in order to use this particular site, you will have to register. So if you don't want to do that right now, you can just follow along with me on this screen. You have to register. It's free, but there is a sign-in, and I believe it's because they receive grant money. So a lot of times when I log onto here, it'll prompt a survey right away. And all of those surveys help them to continue to receive funding so that they can continue to do their work. So what I want to highlight for us today is the units and the lessons that they've prepared. And so on this homepage are the units that are now available. So there are 6 units of study. And so if you click on any of them, we'll just click on the first one. Each of them at the top have these quick features that you can navigate to. So the info button, we'll have a quick overview of what the unit is about. So this particular unit is about La Ku'oko'a and Timoteo Ha'alilio. And La Ku'oko'a is the Hawaiian Nation's Independence Day. And there was a group of delegates from Hawaii who went across the world to get treaties signed, recognizing us as an independent nation. And so if you click on this info button, it'll give you a quick overview of the unit. This narratives page is a set of slides that are written to a more mature audience. So your high schoolers might be able to follow along. I use these narratives a lot in teaching teachers and training teachers or sharing those with them. It's a lot of information and they've kind of compiled it in these Google slides. So it is kind of lengthy, but the good thing about the length is that it gives you, they provide a lot of, or pretty much all of the information that they have. What they've done is that if you click down here, you can open the Google slides and then you can make a copy of the Google slides for yourself. So if you have a Google account, you can copy those slides. And then what I do is I hide certain slides that might be too much information for my audience. I hide certain slides and only present the ones that I want to present. But what you can also do by making a copy of it is you can completely remove slides. You can add in, your own information as it makes sense to your audience, or edit the language so that the language makes sense to your audience. So lots of different ways that you can use this narrative. All the units include a timeline of events, timelines, so you can make sense of what was going on. A lot of us have some background knowledge on Hawaiian history. So these timelines are really helpful in helping us to know how to place the units or what's going on. In a lot of these units, they're talking about events that have subsequent events and events prior to the actual event. So what's really nice about this is that it'll help you to keep up with the story as it moves along. Students can use this as well to remember, quick dates, quick facts about how something progressed. Next is this lesson tab, and they have created lessons by age group. So some of them are more robust than others, but I invite you to take a look because they've really done a lot. A lot of them have quizzes or flashcards that they use Genially and Google Slides a lot. So Genially is an app that you can use without having to register, that you can use, their products without having to register. All of their Google Slides as well, you can make a copy of to use as you will. They do a lot of posters and kind of, one sheet fact pages. And then for the younger ages, sometimes they do flashcards or just simple name tracing and coloring pages and things like that. So lots on here to add to your lesson or even as a starter. This is the first time you're teaching something like this. At the bottom of all of these lesson pages is a curriculum resource guide. So if you clicked on this, again, it's a Google slide, but kind of works as a book. You can toggle to different tabs depending on the age group that you're working with. And a lot of them have these escape rooms. So after having gone through the narrative for yourself, or having taught your students different things, these escape rooms will kind of quiz you or quiz your audience on the facts of the unit. So you have to answer questions, and then it'll take you to, if you answer it correctly, it'll take you to the next challenge and so on. So similar to an escape room, really, really neat. And they use it through Google Slides as well. So you can also make a copy of that presentation and edit the language again, or edit the questions. If you didn't cover a certain portion for your audience, then you can edit those questions out, or changed it to something that you did cover. So they really did a lot in building this out. These next two, songs and books, are different for every unit. Some of them will include songs, some of them will include books or other resources. So you can click on those other tabs to see what other resources might be available. And then the last thing I want to share on this website are the teacher resources. So again, on the home page are all of these units. If you want to just look at songs, you can click on that, Mele. If you want to see the units in English or in Hawaiian, you can choose those. And then there are these extras. And these are, again, these folks are researchers, and their goal is to bring knowledge into the public realm. So knowledge that are primarily written in Hawaiian, they're translating and they're putting it out. What's on their virtual wall here are kind of mini units. They're not as built out as the ones that I just went through, but they're videos and resources about other topics. And then on the shelf here are other resources. And these primarily, I think, are for teachers and maybe folks in the university, but these reads are a little bit more heavy. They're kind of university level reads, but a lot of really good information. This index here kind of outlines all of the resources. So if you're not sure, if you want to take a look at these short summaries of what's included in the resources, to help you decide on either what you want to study, or if you're looking for something in particular, you'll want to read those summaries to take a look at what they offer. Okay, so in short, that's the Keep Up app. So I'm going to go back to this Padlet and really quickly, can you folks click on this add button and share with us how initially, just your first thought of how you might be able to use this app in either in your classroom or in your planning. Laurel shared in the chat that she loves that it has resources for all ages. Absolutely. Yeah. They really did a nice job with that.
Aloha Kalaiku. This is Moana Piana.
Aloha.
It'll be faster for me to say it than type. I mean, I'll still type it out, but it's going to take me for days. Our team, second grade team, has been trying to look for something to address one of our social studies standards. It was something about comparing varying perspectives on historical events. And we're trying to look for something, from the Hawaiians' point of view. And this one just looked like it had some potential things that we could look at. Like history has a lot of perspectives from either American point of view or, people, but not much from the other side. So, and so we are still trying to figure out how to address this standard, but this looks like a possible source of perspectives from the Hawaiian point of view on, one or maybe multiple events in our history. So kind of excited to check it out.
Yeah, and then I'll encourage you to check out Waiaulu as well. So on their website, they have, so this branch, this Keep Up app, is focused on lesson planning, and we're providing teachers with material. But on their actual website, and I'll add it to our Padlet, they have their collections that they've translated, and those are organized by date. And I know they wanted to, so I don't know if they did, but I believe they might be organized by events as well. But either way, they've translated journals, and they've translated a lot of the Hawaiian newspaper articles. So those two might provide you with perspective from the Hawaiian perspective.
Oh yes, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, so I'll add their bigger website to our Padlet as well. Wonderful. Oh, how neat. Mahalo for sharing. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next website. Again, feel free to add to the Padlet as we go. And thank you for sharing with everybody here. So our next resource is Waihona. And Waihona's mission is to collaboratively develop and strengthen a Native Hawaiian education system built on strong Olelo Hawaii and Ike Hawaii Foundation. So if you're familiar with Teachers Pay Teachers, that app where you can upload lessons and things, and you can pay to download somebody else's lesson. Waihona has aimed to do something similar without the paying part, but it's all sharing of resources, either things that you've seen. So like I could share this Padlet up here so that other kumu have all of these websites that I recommend. Actually, that's a good idea. I probably should do that. Or you can add, individual lessons. So those Owayaulu folks, they could take each of those units and upload them here. But really, it's things that people are doing in their classrooms, things that they've tried, things that have been successful. They put it up here so that other kumu, other teachers and educators can go on and take a look and download it and use it for themselves as well. So this website is a branch of Kanayo Kana, whose aim is to bring Hawaiian organizations together to pool resources so that we can reach a broader audience. And so Waihona is one of those efforts. You do need to register to use the site. It's free, but you do have to register. And then once you do, then you'll have access to all the lessons and units. So once you register, you come to this.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to register with the Waihona website, and it says to select an organization, but I'm in public school, so I'm not sure what to register for organizations.
Did you try and type in your school?
Yes. So none of the, well, not none, there aren't very many public schools that are listed for the school organization. Oh, we just type in our name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry.
I believe so, yeah. If it doesn't work, then let me know, and I can try to help you maybe after this presentation. But I believe they just want to know who's using the app. But also, if you contribute to the resources, then your organization will come up as well, just so that people have an idea of where these things are coming from. So once you do get registered, you'll click on that Get Started button. It'll take you to this page. And from here, you can search the entire site. So just like Google, you'll go ahead and type in a topic or a keyword or something. So I'm going to type in math. And then a number of things will pop up. Yeah, so these are all the things that have been tagged as math lessons, maybe math units, or have some kind of a math integrated into what was shared. What you can also do is use these features. So if I want to see math particularly related to to Kauai, then something might come up if a teacher from Kauai posted something related to math, or if somebody used Kauai to teach math, or vice versa. There's these asset types, audio, digital tool, different types of assets and ways to teach. As you use the app more often, you might find a contributor whose contributions you really like. And so folks who contribute frequently, their names are added to this kind of quick list. So you might choose somebody who, whose work you really like, and browse their collection. There are a number of cultural topics. If you're just kind of looking and trying to figure out what everything is about, or where you might want to take something next, you can pick any of those topics. Frameworks and standards. If contributors have tagged, the different standards that they're using, then those will show up here. And so it's not a comprehensive list of everything that we're using across across the state, but it's things that folks have contributed to. So if you don't see your framework up here, feel free to start contributing and tagging your framework in there so that others who might use it can access that. Grade level, you can select things by grade level, by Hawaiian or English language, different modalities of learning. And these are written in Hawaiian, but they're short words, so we can go over them quickly. Kino is your body. Lolo is your brain, so cognitive learning. Maka is your eyes, so things that we might see or observe with your eyes. Pepe Yao is your ear, so those will be listening types of activities. Waha is your mouth, so maybe oral delivery, speech, debate, possibly. And then Ihu is your nose, so that sense of smell. Alelo is your tongue, sense of taste. And then Na'au is our seat of consciousness in Hawaiian, similar to going with your heart. As a people, as in Hawaiian culture, we go with our Na'au, or gut instinct. So those will be lessons related to that. Then there are subject area as well. And then this text box is just how we began typing in a text and such. Okay, so real quick, I'm just gonna go through this. When you click on a lesson, how it's organized, so you'll see the title of the lesson at the top, the organization, and the contributor or the collaborator. On the left side is the grade level that it's meant for. They'll list subject areas, the learning modalities, culture-related perspectives. If it's related to a particular aina, particular place, then that'll be listed there. And then the framework that they use. Next to that, on the main part of the page is a summary. And then this will be either a lesson or background information on the lesson. And then the lesson will probably be linked here under the links. Everything on here is downloadable and then printable. Otherwise, contributors will list links to different websites or to a digital tool or whatever it is that they've either created or found. And then on the bottom on the left, if you have a question about anything and you click on this button, it'll send a message directly to the contributor. If you have any questions on this particular lesson, you can contribute to this collection. So this particular lesson is about Mauna Kea. So if you have something about Mauna Kea that you want to add to that collection, you have an option to do that. If you want to contribute directly to this resource, so these folks have listed these links here, and you maybe have another link that will match perfectly with this. You can suggest that by contributing to this resource. You'll type in, your link or your thought, whatever it is, you'll type that in, it'll go to the contributor, and then the contributor can decide to add it to to this particular resource. And then to download the entire thing, this entire lesson, the summary, write-up, and everything, you can click on this download resource button. Or if you don't necessarily want that, then you go to the links and you'll download things piecemeal. So they might have a lesson link there, a follow-up lesson, pictures or coloring pages. If you just want those on its own, then you go ahead and click on those. Otherwise, you can download the entire thing with this button. Okay, and in a nutshell, that is the Waihona app. So we'll go back to the Padlet. And first, immediate thoughts. How might you be able to use this in your classroom? Oh, Moana, I see your thought in the chat. I'll go figure that out. And
Well, I just
sorry,
chose the HIDOE Office of Curriculum. Registered
Oh, okay, good.
my school name. So yeah, I was able to get on. So thank you, mahalo.
Okay, mahalo. So on Waihona, it'll take some exploring. And because individuals are contributing to the resource, the way that they contribute are all different, right? We all have our form of lesson planning or lesson planning templates and things like that. So you will have to go through lessons and kind of make sense of things that way. And we're all short for time, right? As teachers in the classroom. But if you have that kind of time, you might find things in there that are useful to what you're teaching. Or that might just inspire you. You were thinking of going one way with a particular lesson, and you might see something that inspires you to go another way. Or if you're doing, you kind of follow the same curriculum year after year, and you find that your students are not necessarily connecting with the way you were going, you might find some inspiration on Waihona. Okay, so we'll move on to the next site. And this site is called Images of Old Hawaii. And it is a branch of the Ho'okuleana website. And so for background, this site highlights people, places, and events in Hawaii's history. And they strive to bring it to life through text and media in the internet publication of Old Hawaii, this site we're looking at. It is intended as an educational program covering Hawaii's past, and the posts are informal historic summaries, images, both historic and modern, and are added to help tell stories, tell mo'olelo. In some cases, historic maps are laid over modern aerial images, and these posts are posted almost every day, daily. And they're meant to introduce new subject, to introduce time frame, location, etc., from different perspectives. So Moana, this might be another one that you might want to take a look at. So to
I
use
just
this site,
ooh.
yeah, I love this site too. So to use this site, there's no registration. It's an open website. And like I said, he posts almost every day. Um, the he I'm talking about is Peter Young, and I think he has a group, a group of people working with him. But he is primarily a historian and a researcher. And so what he strives to do in these posts is to pull out, nuggets of information, and he packages them in kind of bite-sized reads. So the reads are short articles that is about a 5 to 10 minute read. It's not long at all. And they're standalone pieces. So you don't necessarily need to have prior information to read these posts. And they're not written as articles. So there's no opening, narrative woven through, and there's no closing one out. Oh, it's just kind of here's the knowledge, take it as you will, and then move on to either the next post or move on with your day. If you want, you can follow him. You could type in your email there, and then every day as he posts or whenever he posts, it'll go directly to your email. So if you're looking for, an interesting read in the morning or at lunchtime, again, it's a 5 to 10 minute read, so you can get that sent directly to you. Or how I use it is I browse his collections all the time. So I'm going to click on one, and this one was posted today. So we'll click on one. I'll just scroll quickly through it to kind of give you an idea of the length. So what I really like about this this website and how he writes it is that just aesthetically, sentences and paragraphs are short and there's space in between them. So it's almost like a bullet point. And for whatever reason, I feel that I read those quicker than when I'm reading entire paragraphs and a long essay. And there it is. So that's maybe a 6 to 7 minute read if you're taking your time. I usually take a lot of time to read through things because I'm either making connections or, like I said, paragraphs. I have a really hard time reading paragraphs. I have mild dyslexia, so I end up skipping lines and skipping words, and then I have to go back and reread. So I really like how he lays it out because it's quick, bite size, and it helps me to move along quickly. You go to his categories page. He organizes, the articles by a few different categories that he posts about regularly. Or you can browse the collections. And he's kind of, bunched things up together based on his interests, what he posts a lot to, and by a popular topic. So a number of collections there if you're looking to browse through things. And then again, there's that follow. If you want the articles to be sent straight to you. And in a nutshell, that's images of old Hawaii. So we'll go back to the Padlet. And initially, what kind of thoughts do you have on using this site? If you teach upper level, you might your older students might be able to read along on those pages. I'm a teacher trainer right now, so I primarily suggest these to teachers and to leadership. But what other thoughts do we have? Oh, visual resources in art class. Yeah. Yeah, and so others of his collections have, he includes, again, he's a researcher, so he includes images and maps that he comes across in his work, you know, in that realm that he's in. Um, so similar to Awayauru, making these things available to the public through this through his simple website. Okay, so we'll move on to the next website. Again, please feel free to continue posting. So our next website is Ka'iwa Kilo Moku. And we're not going to explore the whole site. There's a lot on this site. Ka'iwa Kilo Moku is a division of Kamehameha schools, and the goal of Ka'iwa Kilo Moku, both the site and this website and the site that they built on the Kapalama campus, was meant to be a hub for the Pacific. So our brothers and sisters across the Pacific. This website highlights their stories and how they're connected to us in Hawaii. And so there are a lot of different collections. So I'll just quickly show you the collections. I'll do it this way. So this first collection, Ka'iwa Kilo Moku, will take you to information about the website, about the center that's built up on the Kapalama campus. And then, what's happening at Ka'iwa Kilo Moku. So prior to the pandemic, they used to do quarterly events for the community. So they would hold events up there, free parking, free attendance. It was just kind of meant to be a community resource type of a thing, where they would invite speakers to speak and run activities and such. I don't think they've begun again since the pandemic, but once they do, that information will be there. Moana Nui Akea is a collection of what's going on in the Pacific and how that's related to us. So what's going on in Micronesia, how related to Samoa, why our heiau look similar and have similar names to the heiau in Tahiti, and those kinds of connections. This Ho'oilina collection are things that have been passed down. And so similar to Awaiaulu, similar to Images of Old Hawaii, making knowledge public to a broader audience. And so some of their work is involved with translation as well. And then what I want to introduce to us today is their digital collection. And their digital collection comprised of a vast array of Hawaiian and Pacific expressions. Oops. It's a home to an assortment of essays, interviews, videos, recipes, and more that you're invited to explore. So there's a search button here. So if you're looking for something in particular, say kalo or something, you can type that in, and everything that is related to kalo will pop up for you. So you can click on those articles or those videos or recipes and whatnot. If you're looking for something in particular, you'll use that search. But what I want to show is what they have in their collection. Okay, so when you search, it'll pull things from all of these different areas, or you can browse these collections individually. So this first one is Mauna Leo TV program, and this program ran in the 80s and 90s, where a group of who were then students brought together Mauna Leo, or elders who were raised through the Hawaiian language. And so the program is run in Hawaiian to encourage listeners, folks learning Hawaiian, to listen to the language from a native speaker, from their mouth. They speak very differently from how we might speak today. But the program is it's just interviews. So it's interviewing them, how it was to grow up, maybe their occupation, what things that they've done in their life and such. If you're learning Hawaiian language or if you're teaching Hawaiian language, you might use this collection as to listen to how things are said, how things are pronounced and such. If you're a native speaker and you haven't seen this program, I encourage you to turn it on in the same way that you might turn on Law and Order while you're washing dishes or folding clothes or whatever on your free time, just to listen to our kupuna speak. But also the things that they share take us back to a time that is really no more. Yeah, how they grew up and the ways that they did that are so different and very interesting. But unless you know the language, there's no subtitles, then this collection may not be suitable for you. This next one, Kanaka Insights, are interviews and profiles of Kanaka Hawaii, or people in Hawaii, people from Hawaii, things that happened in Hawaii. So they're similar to the Manaleo program, but it's in English. There are some videos in this collection, and others are articles and transcriptions of interviews. These historical snapshots are similar to what we just looked at in the images of Old Hawaii. They're shorter articles that don't provide, a ton of prior knowledge, and it's not an essay, so it doesn't close it out. But similar to images of Old Hawaii, it just kind of gives you the quick facts about different things, an array of things, really. These two, Exploring Cultural Identity essays, and then right below, Exploring Cultural Identity videos, are essays and videos. And it's really a wide range of them that explore Hawaiian identity through historic and contemporary cultural practices and cultural events, through personal experiences and research. Most of the pieces in the collection are modern day pieces, but you will also find every once in a while articles or essays that they've pulled out of newspapers and have translated that deal with that same topic of cultural identity, what it means to be Hawaiian, and how we are similar and different from other people groups. This Mele Songs and Stories collection are analyses of traditional texts and modern compositions. So Mapuana and Kihei de Silva, they are kumuhula, and Kihei de Silva, the Mapuana de Silva's husband, he does a lot of these articles. And so what he does is he kind of opens up mele and hula and compositions from his background as a researcher and as a kumuhula. So in mele, in our traditional songs, there are lots of hidden meaning and double meaning, and that's just the way that our poetry was written. And so when you hear a song, unless you know the language or know the story, you might not necessarily get that off the bat. So he uncovers some of that in some traditional and modern songs. And there are other contributors, but I really like his pieces. Then you'll find recipes of traditional food and local food. These mo'olelo are stories taken from the newspaper. Some of them are translated, some of them are not. But you'll find a collection of newspaper articles there. These Pacific conversations are conversations that are happening throughout the Pacific. So similar to that other collection, Moana Nui Akea, it'll highlight things that are happening throughout the Pacific and how we're related to that, or how we may be contributing to those things. And then these last row, the song contests, there are past pre-shows, videos, and printed programs and things in this collection. The Pernice Pauahi Bishop Heritage Center is right next to this Ka'iwa Kilo Moku building that they created. And that Heritage Center, this is a link to their website, has a lot of information on Pauahi and the Kamehameha. And at the actual Heritage Center are a collection of Pauahi's things, her memorabilia. So it's almost a branch of the Bishop Museum. It's much smaller, but what they did in COVID is they did virtual tours and they videotaped that. And so that's on this website. And then this last one is dedicated to wayfinding. So things about the Hokulea, present voyage, past voyage, and then just wayfinding in general. So you can browse through these collections, or like I said, you can type a keyword into a search and it'll search everything in each of these collections and pull that up for you. Okay, and that's Ka'iwa Kilo Moku, their digital collection. So really quickly, I'll give us a minute so we can move on. Initial thoughts, how might you be able to use that digital collection in your classroom or in your planning? Okay, so for time's sake, I'm going to move on to the next one. But again, please feel free to add that. So our next set of websites are interactive sites. So the first four that we just talked about were primarily for educators, for your own planning purposes, or if you have an older audience, maybe university or high school, they might be able to be able to pull things straight from that and put it in the classroom. These next three are interactive sites, and they're interactive in different ways. And they also include lessons and things for even you to vet through, to tweak for your own purposes before taking it into the classroom. So they have elements of the first four, but with an interactive feature as well. So you can click on Kumukahi. So kumukahi.org is a website that features bilingual, community-based approach to presenting living Hawaiian culture and its connection to a rich ancestral past. There are more than 60 diverse topics that are explained by cultural practitioners and community experts from across Hawaii who have deep association with place and the subject matter. So there's no registration to use this site. You can browse again using the search. You can type in key terms, or you can browse to the collection. A lot of what's on here is prepared for an upper elementary audience to interact with and explore. And what I mean by that is if you gave this website to your upper elementary students, the language that's on the face of the website is easy enough for them to understand. It's easy enough for them to click around. But what we'll find on the site can be used for even younger audiences. My sister is an elementary, first, second grade teacher, and she uses some of the videos for her class. So we'll explore the topics in a little bit. Actually, no, we'll do that first. So how you want to use the site, you can use it in different ways. Again, you can search particular things that you already know you're going to study. So if you're going to study the ahupua'a or maybe makahiki or tarot and such, you can type those in and those will pop up like any search button. If your students are going to use this, or even as you explore, you'll want to click on the Explore tab. And they've organized their collections by realms and human experience. So this Kiawakua has to do with gods and that more mythic realm, above human experience. And then also how humans interact with that realm of gods. So you can click on any of these units here and it'll open up to what I'll show you later. Another connection is kahonua. That has to do with things here on Earth. So aina, the ocean, plants, water. So you'll see those list of units here. You can click on any of those. The next collection is kahikina. So how we got here, how were we created? How did Hawaiians get to Hawaii? Where did they come from? Those types of things. These units are here. And then Nakanaka focuses on people and their work and our interaction with each other, with our community, with the land, our work, and so on. So all of those collections are here. So that's how they've organized their collections. You can also go to their videos and browse the collection in a similar way. So these are all the videos. If you want to just take a look at what they have, these are all the videos that have units attached to them, or you can search by those same categories that we just took a look at. You want to see everything in Kiawakua, Kahonua, and whatnot. We'll go back here. If you click on any one of these units, so any one of these units will open up to a page similar to this. So it'll start with a video, and all of the videos are between 3 to 2 minutes long. So not very long at all, depending. And also, of course, depending on your audience. And the way it's the way that the videos are prepared is it's a talk story between the host, he's the host, and then the expert, the cultural practitioner, whoever it is. And it's meant for elementary students. So he'll start off talking to the screen, right? Talking to the audience on the other side of the screen. They'll say, welcome back. This is where we are. He'll introduce the aina. And then he'll introduce the guest. And then it'll be a question and answer kind of a thing where the expert will share things. And then the host will ask questions that are questions that our students might ask, elementary students might ask about particular things. So there's that video there, and then below that are a number of resources that are kind of prepared like those science magazines that you might, National Geographic science magazines, those kind of things, where it's kind of just bite-sized pieces of information that include pictures, include reflection questions, things to ponder. But as I scroll, I'd like you to notice how short they are. And then the language that it's written in. So again, it's written for elementary. Yeah, I recommend upper elementary, but I mean, easily tweak it for lower grades or for your more advanced readers and such. So every unit looks similar to this, a video and then these kind of bite-sized pieces of information. It'll also include, vocab that they'll read as they go along. And then you can easily toggle to different sections of this read along by clicking on any of these tags here. In a nutshell, that's kumukahi. So if you're having your students play around, you'll want to send them to the Explore so they can access the whole unit. You might take advantage of the videos. It's might be an easier way for you to search what they have. They include music here. It's not a lot, but it is some. And then this teacher and parent tab includes more resources and guiding questions for topics. So, and that's here on the bottom. So any of those units, you can click on this and it'll open up some guiding questions that you might use or you might encourage your send home to your families, after you do a unit or while you're talking about a unit, so that they can encourage the study at home as well. Okay, so that's kumukahi. Oh, and some folks are already posted. You can use the videos to help, supplement lessons. I use the videos all the time. They're pretty short. Again, he talks to the screen, so he's talking to the students and then talking to the practitioner. Again, I teach teachers and I love it for even that. They're short, they're packed with information. But because of the way it's set up, you don't get bored. You're not watching a documentary. You're kind of, going along with the teacher or with the host rather. Okay, and then for time's sake, I'm gonna move on. So our next interactive website is the Holo Moana website. And this was just created within the last year and a half. They've been working on it for a while, but it's publicly available for the last year and a half. There's no registration needed to use the website. And the interactive piece of this is meant for geared towards middle and high schoolers to explore the different resources that they have on this page. But the resources span to be used from preschool all the way up into the university. So we'll take a look at the interactive portions that a student might use first. So on their menu, they have 4 different sections. So ho'okele is the sail plan. And so when the hokule hikianalia, when they go on voyages, they're currently on right now. So this section will overview where they're going, what they're doing. And then all of these places beneath here are stops that they have on their voyage. So any of these buttons will give students information on the places that they're going to. And then this last one, you click on and you can follow the voyage. So as they go along, they're writing reflections, they're taking video. They really want to bring the community along with them as they sail. So all of that you can access here. And a lot of it will be linked directly to the PVS, Polynesian Voyaging Society website, which is another really good website. The next one is Mo'oku'auhau, and in this section, it'll talk about the lineage between Hawaii and the rest of the Pacific, and how our wayfinding has had a rebirth. So in a nutshell, a lot of our knowledge went away after the overthrow. And so sailing was one of those. And it was, for the most part, pretty much lost. And so Nainoa Thompson sought out a navigator in Micronesia, and he came. So a lot of the way that they sail today is similar to how our ancestors sailed, but have a lot of Micronesian flavor because we really lost the bulk of our how our ancestors sailed. And so we trusted on these other Pacific Island people to help us to rebuild that. And so this Mo'oku'auhau section we'll talk about that and explore that lineage. Halawa'a is a fun place that that your students might want to explore. And the Halawa'a gives you an overview and then some specifics on crew training and what the crew goes through to prepare to voyage. So in this section are videos and tutorials on how to wayfind, how to prepare yourself to go on top of the wa'a. Take a look at how their swim test goes, how to tie knots, how to deploy life vests, how they survive on the wa'a. And all of these things are easy to click on and include videos that your students can click on and learn about and along with these people who are folks training to be on the wa'a.
Let me just jump in and remind you really
Yeah.
quickly that it's I'm just jumping in now since you're pausing. It's almost about 15 minutes till the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So your students might like this Halawa'a to take a look at the crew training. Also these blogs. So as the crew travels and they're on their voyage, they do blog. And so on here are reflections of what they're going through. There are also historical reflections of Eddie Aiko, his time with the Hokulea, Nainoa Thompson, and those kinds of things. So more historical in that. And then on this Ohana engagement, in this Ohana engagement tab, if it'll open for us, are resources that you might be able to use with either your, sending home to Ohana or in your own lesson planning. So in here are some lessons that they've created, and you can explore all of these lessons. So again, feel free to add mana'o, how you might be able to use this site in your own planning and in your classroom. And then I'm going to round out our interactive sites with this Ahupua'a Hawaii statewide GIS program. So this is one that I just happened to come upon, but it's really neat, especially because a lot of us teach about the Ahupua'a. And the Ahupua'a was a traditional way of sectioning out the land. And so traditionally the land was sectioned out for ease of control, and not necessarily control of people, but control of resources, right? We already know that we're on an island, so our resources are limited. But depending on the side of the island that you're on, resources are different, right? The windward side primarily has a lot of water. The west side is a little bit more dry. And so the resources on, depending on where you are on the island are different. And so Ahupua'a is our traditional way of sectioning out, parceling out land for the management of resources. And so what they've done with OHA and DLNR is they've added, they took this map, our Hawaiian chain, and they added the boundaries to it. So as you zoom in, similar to how you might use Google Maps, you get closer and more detailed view of these boundaries. And so, I mean, if you're just looking at Ahupua'a in general, you can hover over these areas and the names will come up. It'll give you, if you click on it, it'll give you some quick information on the Ahupua'a, the land itself. But what's really neat, what I've been using it for is some of us don't know what Ahupua'a we live in, or we call places by their nicknames a lot of times. So if you know where that place is, you can hover over and learn that, that's called Lau Niu Poko, not whatever the nickname that you might have grown up hearing. Um, the other thing is you can type in addresses here. So where you might think that you live in, I just live in Waianae, I might type in an area and realize that I live in Lualualei, or I might get, more information on that. Or you might live on the border between Olowalu and Ukumehame. So you might type in your address and realize that you're on one side of the boundary as opposed to another. So as a lot of us do study the ahupua'a, you might use this site for your students to explore. Where's the mall at? To type in addresses here, or to just explore the different ahupua'a that were a part of our traditional sectioning out of land. There are other advanced tools or features to the site. I haven't explored them, but there are ways that you can make your own map and pin your own areas. So if that sounds interesting to you, I invite you to explore these tools. Again, I haven't done it. I tried to do it a couple of days ago for the purpose of this presentation, but I'm not the most technologically savvy, so it was too much for me to learn in 2 days. But that might be something that you want to explore. Okay, so going back to our Padlet, some immediate thoughts. How might you be able to use this GIS site? So while you folks are doing that, hopefully you are, I'm going to round us out with our last 3 websites. And these last 3 websites are primarily books, but like the websites we looked at before, some of them include lessons and units that you might be able to teach or are associated with different books. So our 8th website, first one for the books, is Ulukau. And Ulukau has been around for a while, at least 15 years. And there are a number of collections on the actual website. So you can explore the Hawaiian dictionaries all at one time. Type in a word and get definitions from all of our Hawaiian dictionaries. You can explore books, and then you can also explore the Hawaiian newspaper collection. What will come up in the Hawaiian newspaper collection are first the Hawaiian newspaper. So you can look at the image, or you can look at just the text. If there are translations, then there'll be a button for that, but most of them don't have translations. So if you want a newspaper with a translation, you'll want to go to a Waiaulu, because they include their translations side by side, or that Ka'iwa Kilo Moku site. This newspaper collection is a one-stop shop for all the newspapers. So you might want to go on here to search a term, realize that you have something, and then take that title back to any of those other sites to search if there is an English translation. But what I want to highlight for us today is these book collections. And it's easy to use, similar to what we've seen before. You can type in a keyword up here, like beach. And everything that has to do with a beach will come up there. You can also browse fiction, nonfiction, categories. So we're looking at grade level. You might use this, and then language, either Hawaiian or English books. I'll type in, click on this beginner one. Where's that? So what I typed in is beginner. These are all children's books. And most of them, actually all of them, are PDFs. So you can click on it. You can read it right off of the website. Or when I was in the classroom, I printed them out so that our students would have something to read, something tangible to read. So you can take a look at the page by PDF or by text or by images like I have been doing here. So that's the books. And then if we go back out to the sites, I also want to highlight the Hawaiian curriculum material. So down here are all of their different collections that they have. Here's some more photographs for art that you might want to take a look at. Hawaiian curriculum materials. So this will include lessons and lessons and units for different topics. So this is about, your body and exercising and such. So this might be an area that you might want to take a look at. These are a little bit more lengthy than the other, the first websites that we started off with. Those are kind of, lessons that you could print out automatically. These are a little bit more in depth, but useful nevertheless. So that's on Ulukau. For time's sake, I'm going to move on to the next one, but again, feel free to ask the Padlet. No'eau is another set of books, and No'eau Warner, he was a teacher at the University of Hawaii. He has since passed away. I think he's been gone for almost 8 years now. But before he did, he had written a number of children's books in Hawaiian, primarily for Hawaiian immersion schools. So that, those Hawaiian immersion schools would have something tangible that looks like everybody else's books, but it's written in the Hawaiian language. And so what they've done since his passing is a group of them have digitized these books. They've put them on this website, and they've invited native speakers to narrate the book or to read the books. So if you are learning or if you're teaching Hawaiian language, or even if you're just teaching the alphabet, these books were meant for preschool and lower elementary. So the words or the sentences are short and they're repetitive sentences. So if you're just beginning to learn and you read one of these books, the sentence pattern will come up throughout the book. And then if you click on the green button, I don't think I turned my audio on for Zoom, but if you click on the green button, then the audio will come up, and it's a native speaker reading this. So the pronunciation will be correct, the cadence and all of that you can pick up from hearing somebody speak will come up for you. And every page will include that green button for hearing the Hawaiian language being read. Currently, these are not in print. So they're only accessible here online, these books. There are educational resources, remote learning resources that you can explore here as well. And again, in a nutshell, that's No'eau books. So primarily in Hawaiian, but can be useful depending on what you're teaching or for your own edification. And then this last website is Pahana Aina Lupa Lupa. And these are science readers that are written in English and Hawaiian, so you can access either version. But they are science readers that have to deal with our landscape, our insects, our forests and things like that. So as you're teaching science, this is a nice way to integrate place-based education. And so how you'll navigate here is you go to these Pahana Aina Lupa Lupa books. You can see them in Hawaiian. You can see them in English down here to browse. And then they've also created like those National Geographic magazines. They've created those as well. So you can explore some of these. I think we've sent them home on spring break and fall break and things like that. And then of course the books can be accessed here, and they are organized by grade level. And these are written for lower elementary. So I think it stops at grade 3. Okay, and that's Pahana Aina Lupa Lupa. And then you can read more about how they designed those books. So I'll jump back to the Padlet. Feel free to continue adding here. And then I know we're 5 minutes till the end. So there is a survey, right, that we want to encourage folks to take, that I teach, the folks putting on this program would encourage us to take. And I believe that'll be added to the chat. But while we wait for that link, mahalo nui for joining me today to learn about these websites. I hope you found it useful. This Padlet will be open. So I encourage you to add how you might use it. As you do use it, feel free to come back here and let us know how you used it. Or feel free to bookmark this Padlet. I'm going to keep it up and live so that you have the links, the quick links to all of these websites. I see the website or the link to the survey in the chat. So please take that survey so that the organizers have information on how the sessions are going. We have about 3 minutes. Does anybody have any questions that you want to add to the chat, or you want to unmute and ask? Hi. Yeah.
Are the children's books available in hard copy? I think the very last thing that you did.
Yeah, the last one, the Pahana Aina Lupa Lupa books, those science books are available hard copy through Kamehameha Publishing. And I'll add their link to this Padlet. Okay, so if nothing else, thanks again for joining me. If you do have questions that come up later, I am always available and love to help. So all the way in the front where we introduced ourselves, I included my email address over there. So if at any time you have questions or wonderings, or you want a thought partner on Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian language, any of that, I love it, and I welcome you to reach out. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Mahalo
Aloha.
to Kalaiku Wong, and for everyone's participation. We hope you found this session helpful and made some valuable connections. Special thanks to our sponsors, Sacred Hearts Academy Honolulu and the Augustine Educational Foundation, for making this conference free for the past 10 years. Please help us complete the survey on the website iteach808.com so we can continue to receive grant funding. You will also receive a certificate of participation after completing the survey and automatically entered to win one of $10 Target gift cards if you complete the survey by February 4th. The survey will be also sent to the email address that you registered with. Please make sure to check your spam folder from any emails from iteach808hawaii@gmail.com. Thanks for being here today. Feel free to join the other sessions coming up and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Mahalo.